see it? So everything's clicking, so it's helping you as the season goes on. Typically, you don't see it.
Which broadcast is your
This, I like to say that a bunch
bringing the TV? I haven't even turned it on. My radio is satellite.
not a good idea.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to bring Lisbon Town Council November 15th, 2016 to order, and please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councillor Albert,
Here.
Councillor Bickford,
Here.
Councillor Brunel,
Here.
Councillor Crafts,
Here.
Councillor Mativia,
Here.
Councillor Colby,
Here.
Councillor Ward.
Here.
Good
First
news.
item.
Good news and recognition. We have a proclamation, order number 2016-245 for the Lisbon Recreation Pee Wee Football Proclamation. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Can the Lisbon Pee Wee football team please come forward to be recognized and turn and face the audience?
Again, testosterone. Bring them right in, coach, and face the audience.
Got everybody, coach?
No, about half of them.
Ready? We have a Town of Lisbon proclamation. Whereas the 2016 Lisbon Parks and Recreation Pee Wee football players and coaches have represented the Lisbon community well as they demonstrated the skills and drive necessary to win this year's Central Maine Football League Championship. Whereas the 2016 Lisbon Parks and Recreation Pee Wee football team won their third consecutive league title, crowning them champions in 2014, 2015, and 2016. Whereas the 2016 Pee Wee football team remained tied for the first to the fourth quarter until Deshaun Walker broke up the middle for a long touchdown run. Lisbon stopped their opponent and regained possession in the late in the fourth quarter, when Ethan Hayes broke around the end for another long touchdown, winning 20-6 over the Tri-Town Knights. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of Lisbon, wish to congratulate and thank the 2016 Lisbon Recreation Pee Wee football players and coaches for their fine representation of the Town of Lisbon while winning the Central Maine Football League Championship title on November 1st at Lisbon High School.
Good job. Thank you. Good job,
Hey, we'll see it. We'll see you next year, fellas.
And lady.
Yeah, there's a girl.
And ladies. And ladies.
Don't tell her.
All right.
Don't tell her. She's a solid football player.
Didn't see the girl.
Yeah.
There was one.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to start out.
Don't feel bad, I did that to the coaches all year, too. All right, boys, and girl.
Nice.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Good job, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Need some help?
Thank you.
He's a fine young man. A fine young man.
Now, for the rest of the good news and recognition, is there anybody that has anything?
Yeah, I have a couple. The fact there's good news and recognition. I'd like to start with the fact that the high school drama team will be hosting Beauty and the Beast coming up this weekend. There's Friday night show, there's Sunday, and I forget the other. I think there's Sunday matinee and a Sunday evening, if I remember correctly. They shifted things around a little bit to accommodate the next item on my list, which is the Lisbon High School Greyhounds will be competing in the Class D state championship at Fitzpatrick Stadium, 6 p.m. They'll be facing MCI, Maine Central Institute, out of Pittsfield, who's a strong competitor, but they're going to be disappointed for the third year in a row. Roll Greyhounds.
I've got some for anybody else before me.
I got something.
What do you got?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate our newly elected officials. I don't see the other two here, but I just want to congratulate them for a job well done. Mark Lunt is taking my place, and we've got Chris Crawford, which is filling in for
Me.
for Roger Bickford. And we got Chris Brunel that held on to his seat and is still here now. And I just want to thank everybody that had supported me, and I enjoyed my 3 years that I had on the council, and I feel like we've accomplished a lot in 3 years, and I'm glad that I could be part of it. And as a town, I think we need to get behind the council. I think we've got a very good council here right now that is looking for the best interests of the town and trying to push the town forward, and I just think we need to get behind them and help them in any way we can, and I offer my service any way I can down the road to help out this council and for the better cause for Lisbon. And I just want to thank everybody.
You're up. I'm up. Okay, I got a couple of things.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you. I want to thank, recognize Eric and Don and Chris mainly, and the one that took my place for a very clean campaign. No digs, no nothing. It was very nice to see that, and I'm real happy on that. And then on the other hand, I would like to thank Open Door Christian Academy for having our new president in just before the election. It was the ones that attended it were, me included, were very impressed with the people. And I was also impressed being there with our two chiefs and how they ran the organization. It was very, very well done. And I try not to be critical on stuff like that, but it was good. And maybe I'm hoping too hard, but maybe since we were grateful enough to let Mr. Trump be one of his last campaign stops, that maybe in the next 4 years he might come back and visit us again. You never know. And that's about it for me on this. I will be speaking again in council communications. I can talk a lot. This is my last time up.
Nothing to lose.
Next item.
Consent agenda, order 2016-246.
We have to back
Oh,
up.
sorry.
Number 4.
Public hearings, none. Audience participation and response for agenda items.
Anybody out there?
My name is Don Fellows from the Lisbon side of things. I too would like to congratulate Mark Lunt and Chris Crawford for their wins on the election, and I'd also like to congratulate Chris, who won his race with me. I think it's a good run. I lost by 32 votes, or expressed another way, there's 17 people you convinced that I didn't. One sign, one gigantic sign, and I ran all over town putting up over 100. So, one more thought, I should probably never underestimate the power of a homegrown incumbent. So, congratulations and my best to you.
Thank you, Don.
To Eric, who's here tonight, we now have something in common.
Got it.
The second reason I'm up here tonight is I would like to endorse someone for the planning board. I'd like to endorse Dan Lehman and to tell him that the planning board has had him at a couple of meetings. He's interested in learning the process. He wishes to join as an associate member, which is what's open, because it's a learning position, and he's been involved with town interest, primarily LJAL, in the past. While Dan attended our meetings, he watched us talk about medical marijuana and recreational marijuana and the future that may or may not be happening in this town because of that. He watched us go through zoning ordinance update, the zoning ordinance update, potential sign ordinance revision, plans for a comprehensive plan updating, reviewing the planning board endorsement of the CDBG grant that we've attained. He went through the findings of fact for Kelly Park with us, and also we discussed while he was there the Orton Family Foundation Heart and Soul program, which with Amanda, our planner, we talked about that. And the best part of the whole deal is after all of that, he's not totally overwhelmed. So we think he would be a good member of the team, and I would like to introduce him to you because most of you have never met him, and to the audience that's here. So, Dan?
Council members, thank you for your time. My name is Dan Lehman. I live on Burr Road in Lisbon Falls. I moved here in 2003. 2 kids in the schools. I've coached rec football. I've actually been on the recreation committee for the last, I think, 6 years. Really love this town. Just excited. I actually messaged the code enforcement officer and just said, hey, is there any openings that you know of? Because I was actually his assistant when he was the VP of Cal Ripken through LJL. So I've worked with him, helped him out quite a bit. Little work background. I'm actually the assistant vice president of the service center at 5 County Credit Union. I manage 17 people under me. I've done commercial loans, I've done mortgage loans, I've done real estate loans, new accounts. I've worked in, actually started as a part-time teller in high school. I've worked there since 1999 with a small stint away where I worked at another institution for 2 years. So not scared with meetings and projects and everything, and I just kind of wanted to get involved and help out my community, and so that's just a little bit about me as you make that decision. So thank you for your time.
Brian Larshall, Lisbon Falls. There is a item coming up tonight for ordinance for the establishment of the Lisbon Development Committee. I want to thank the council for bringing this forward to actually bring it to a first reading. It's a step forward with our what started out as a 196 master group and actually continue on a little bit more. One of the benefits of becoming a committee, we want to try to pull in some more people, and it's a lot easier when you're actually a formed, dedicated group with bylaws and other items to actually make them feel they're a little bit part of a committee that's going to keep moving forward. So I thank you very much for looking at this tonight for the first reading. Thank you.
Anybody else? See anyone else? Next item.
Any counselor wishing to have any item removed from consent agenda may do so now. Items removed from the consent agenda will be considered next. Seeing none, Order 2016-246 to approve the accounts payable warrants and payroll warrants, minutes of November 1st, 2016, and ratify the results of voting at the November 8, 2016 election.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Next item, Jody.
Order 2016-247, waiver of foreclosure for sewer and taxes.
We're starting our foreclosure process now, and we have identified 3 mobile homes that we should issue a waiver of foreclosure on. One is a mobile home that was demolished, so we would be foreclosing on nothing and just incurring additional costs to go through that process. The other 2 mobile homes are in terrible condition, and they would be a liability to us. Plus, they owe the mobile home park rent and other fees, so it would not be in our best interest to foreclose on them. So we're asking permission to authorize the municipal treasurer to record a waiver of foreclosure in the registry of deeds on the above mobile homes
Need a motion?
listed in your packet.
Absolutely.
Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Next item, Jody.
Order 2016-248, sewer lab tech position.
Good evening. In your packet should be a memo that presented to Town Manager Barnes with regards to our lab tech position. I believe you discussed this at the last meeting in executive session where it was a personnel discussion. Just briefly, we're looking to replace a vacant lab position that we have. The employee that was in that position was someone that we had put into training. He didn't have any of the certifications or any of the that we would have if you were to hire someone that was tenured, if you will. And we've been through this process before with folks. It's been difficult to fill positions at the sewer department and at Public Works. And we've been lucky to find some good young people that wanted to learn, and that's where we were at. The position has become available, and we have the opportunity to hire back actually the person that was in that position up until last January. He has all the qualifications and certifications since we trained him the first time around, and then he took those skills and abilities elsewhere, and he's now he's available to come back. And primarily the only reason we're here to discuss a personnel issue is the fact that the rate of pay that we would like to offer is higher than what we had budgeted this current fiscal year based on the discrepancy between skills and abilities, quite honestly. And there wouldn't be a budgetary concern this year, but next year the wage line would have to be increased somewhere, depending on how wages go through the budget process, somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000, I believe, with some rough numbers. So rather than blindside you during the budget, it was recommended we come and discuss this with the council, get your blessing before we move forward. But this would be quite a benefit and come full circle back at the treatment plant. We're be fully staffed with people that have all the skills and abilities without us having to put them through all the trainings moving forward. So that's why we're here to discuss this sensitive subject.
And this department, we've had a hard time retaining positions because of the low starting pay. So it's really, we really need to, especially for the type of work that they do and the certifications that they need.
Have we investigated for them like a market survey to determine?
I went on to MMA's salary survey that 2016, and we're at the very low end. We're actually off the charts.
Okay.
Below.
So we're not inside
not,
of the
no.
scale then,
Yeah,
and
no,
that's
we're-
probably explains why.
The proposed rate that we have at this point is near the bottom to maybe in the middle of existing range, if you will.
Thank you.
Didn't
I
really
think you were
wanna get
driving
too-
where I was going there.
I
Yeah.
didn't really want to get too detailed on, I mean, it is, one person.
No,
rather
understood.
than divulge too much.
No, understand
We're
completely.
within that, we're well within that range, if you will.
I wasn't here last time, but I've been brought up to speed on this, so I will vote on it. I won't abstain.
So have the other two parties.
Huh?
So have the other two parties.
They've all been all,
Everybody is,
Okay.
with these two items that are going to be tonight, they've been brought up to speed
Good.
too.
I make the motion so we can discuss this. I'll make the motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
I voiced it before, I'll bring it up again. The fact is, we seem to be the training ground for a lot of different communities. And I would openly try to put it into the council chambers here that consider it in the next budget deliberations to look at wage across the board and try to actually retain people and
Right.
eliminate that training ground, if you will, and see where it takes us. I think just using this example here, pay should be commensurate with what the person's ability is, and clearly we're not always keeping pace. So,
What he said. Yeah. I think it's high time. It's obviously, I mean, we're hearing it from you, and you're having a tough time filling the position. And then when you get somebody who's qualified, they're jumping ship because they have certifications, they can get paid well more than what they're getting here. We want to retain those folks, and sometimes it's about spending money smart. Because if we don't do it this way, we're going to have to hire 4 new people that are going to cycle through here. We're spending all that money to train them and then watch them go away again.
Just as a little caveat, quite honestly, the rate of pay that we're looking to bring him back is not considerably higher than when.
right,
he
it's
left.
commensurate with what his.
I mean, he's gone and gotten some more experience elsewhere, and he wants to
Yeah,
come
we'll
back, which is
benefit
even
now.
better.
Right.
Well, I've made the motion, got a second? All in favor?
You have a second.
Yes,
Yeah,
he had it.
there was a second. Yeah,
Had
there
a
was a
second.
second.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thank you very much.
Next item, Jody.
Order 2016-249, ratify police sergeant's contract.
You have the tentative agreement in front of you that outlines what the changes are, or what we've tentatively agreed. And I do have the updated contracts for signature. We discussed this in executive session, the last meeting, so we recommend that you vote favorable and ratify this agreement. It's a one-year agreement. They'll put all of us on the same time frame now. All 3 contracts will start next year, early next year, and we'll try to get multiple year contracts. So we won't have staggered contracts anymore. They'll all come due at the same time, which will make it a lot easier for us.
Any motion?
Yes.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Next item, Jody.
Order 2016-250, Lisbon Falls Fire Station hose tower installation.
Yeah, Ma.
I want to say it was August or September, came and this was one of the items that was on our request to go out to bid. We received our bids and delayed coming to council until we could work through some of the other projects that we had planned through the buildings budget. One of them was the fire department. The garage door openers there don't have safety devices attached to them to stop them when they come down, so we needed to get our prices for that particular project. That one I estimated was going to be a lot higher than it came in at, and then the insulation was a little bit higher than I originally anticipated, and didn't take into account the effort for the staging to reach 50 feet in the air inside and try to spray the walls. So with that being said, feel pretty comfortable that the buildings budget is able to support all the projects that we plan to do this year, and we recommend moving forward with all seasons weatherization to insulate the hose tower. Their price, if I try to spell it out a little bit, their price on paper was a little higher, but when you read down in the details, their actual insulation price was less than the only other bidder that we received And then the total price included the $3,000 that they are going to charge to stage that, that area. This company we've worked with on a number of occasions. They did the work at the Public Works Garage. Both times we've done some work there and do an excellent job, and I'd like to move forward with this and this is one of those ones that's been on the back burner for a while. I can honestly not tell you how much we can anticipate to see for savings, but based on the area that we're trying to heat there, this has got to help.
Great. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Discussion.
Seeing how the low-cost bidder did not actually meet the specs associated with it, clearly spelled out in your RFP associated with the staging, I would support your recommendation.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Next item, Jody.
Order 2016-251, trail project closeout.
We received an invoice from the Maine DOT for administrative expenses that they charged to the trail project that they didn't tell us they charged to the trail project until towards the end of the trail project. And our portion of that amount is $11,926. The current remaining balance in the trail project is $8,000, well, $8,163.32. But we also have a current account balance, which was created by carrying forward on some of the unused matching funds from the Route 196 project in anticipation of one final invoice associated with that project of $29,650. So we're requesting permission to pay the final invoice with the trail funds and then to take $3,763.02 from the Route 196 carry forward line to make the total of $11,926.34.
Will this, after we pay this 8,000 or whatever we get, is that?
I believe
Done?
that
Done.
done. It said on the invoice, final invoice, I believe.
Okay.
This is the final invoice, right from DOT. So that'll be it. Not bad since we started the project in January of 2010.
Well, I'm sitting on the council and doing what I'm doing with the railroad. I've learned a lot about the DOT, so we're going to have a lot of things made sure of if we have the, because this is not, you know, this is what it's going to cost, and then they keep adding and adding and adding and adding. Yeah, okay. Well, we got to pay it, so.
Burn that bridge when the time comes.
Yeah.
Right.
I need a motion.
Make the motion.
Need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's the last one. Let's just pay it and be done with
Yeah.
it.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Next item,
Order 2016-252, charter amendments, effective date.
So we're just asking council to set the effective date for the charter amendments
effective date today.
immediately, today,
Immediate.
whatever, yep.
Okay, need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Got your second right here.
Any discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Thank you to the town that voted on that, by the way.
Sure.
Next item, Jody.
Order 2016-253, loader discussion and decision.
I think if Ryan comes back up, I think what would be good to start this off is he can give you an update on where the loader is at this point in time since the last time we had a discussion.
Everyone's aware that the loader we're actually getting rid of is the one that's up at the transfer station, which is currently parked behind the Public Works garage because it does not move. The loader that Public Works uses on a daily basis is currently up at the transfer station so they can perform their duties. And that's the way that it's happened, in my understanding, all through the life cycle. The one at Public Works goes to the transfer station, and then Public Works gets a new one. We've had the dealer, they wouldn't come down, I think because they figured we wouldn't spend the money. But they did discuss over the phone with our mechanic the issues that we currently have. One is the transmission. Another is a radiator issue, and then there's pins and bushings in the center of the machine that need to be replaced. And they're to the point where not only do the pins and the bushings need to be replaced, but the arms that the bushings are supposed to be in will need to be replaced. The total invoice, or the total estimated cost to do all the repairs at this point is $61,744.31.
And that's a 99 machine, right?
It's a 99 machine with over 10,000 hours on it.
In other words, it's JUNK.
Since
That's a waste of money.
I can find my little handy dandy spreadsheet. We didn't comb all the purchase orders to get, do a full audit, I guess. But what was easily compiled was that since April of 2011, we've spent about $46,000 on that particular piece of equipment. I'd say at this point, there's no question that it's time that goes away and we replace it with something new. I don't know what the pleasure of the board is, though, in terms of moving forward with that.
Where's the 2011 come in? I mean, it was a 99. When did we purchase it?
New.
We purchased it new. So
I thought we did
does
purchase that new.
I believe so.
I thought it was used, but
It was my understanding that it was purchased new at Public Works, and then
Do you renumber them so the 2011 is when it moved up to solid waste, or what's
I'm just saying
where's-
April of, that was just
Maintenance
that was-
records.
maintenance records only go back to 2011? I'm just trying to figure.
That was what we, yeah, that was what
Okay,
we were.
that's what I'm trying to figure out. Obviously, we've spent more as anything.
Over the,
anything else.
yes.
In the last, as the vehicle gets older, the maintenance costs go up,
Now-
and you've clearly illustrated that.
the Kawasaki we bought used, didn't we?
No, that was new from Frank Martin, I believe.
Really?
It might have been a demo, but
Okay,
I believe it
then
was.
that can be-
I think it was a
I knew
demo.
it had some hours on it.
As
so-
before, I don't know that
Yeah, because
specific answer.
that was purchased either before I got here or just before I got here, I think.
So we are officially down to one.
Correct.
And that one
How is that gonna work with one during the winter months? It's not gonna
doesn't-
work.
No.
Can you speak to that?
It's not going to work.
Elaborate. The listening in the ears and the camera in the corner.
Yep.
Elaborate.
The Public Works loader, and it'll be a little hazy here. The Public Works loader has a dedicated route, so it plows. I should know this offhand, but right around 10 miles of road every given snowstorm. The loader that's at the transfer station is used to load the trucks with salt. It is also used around the Public Works yard and the transfer station yard during a storm, depending on when it is, hours of operation, blah, blah, blah. As well as being used at the transfer station just for their normal day-to-day operations, which, to be honest, during a snowstorm, not as stressed out up there in terms of, bringing in mattresses and shingles and everything else. So that activity is minimized, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a vital piece of equipment for just the snow removal operation in general. Then you get snow removal during the winter, and we like to run 2 loaders when we're doing removals from the downtowns, parking lots, so on and so forth. The new loader would be outfitted to take over that plow route. The old loader would still be the spare, used to load, do whatever it's got to do around the yards, because they're tied to each other. But in the event of another piece of equipment going down, that's always the possibility of throwing that loader into the mix if we have to. So, I mean, we already don't have enough equipment to really spread the routes out more. I mean, it's no different than the other bigger towns who their routes have gone, their snow routes, plow routes now have extended in length and mileage based on reductions and yada, yada, yada. So any further reductions would then limit level of service that we provide to the citizens. So
3 years I plowed the loader route, and as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the Kawasaki broke down a few times last year, and that's probably what did the old loader in, because it only had first and reverse, and
yeah, it's hard to say. I've heard every different opinion.
But it's hard, and it was hard on that loader.
Yep.
And we just, the way the schools and the school bus routes and stuff now, we need that loader to keep the streets clean. and it's public safety. And sometimes a lot of people just don't get it, but it is. It's public safety, and the newer technology stuff now, if we don't have a warranty with this stuff, and you're going to spend huge amounts just in equipment to diagnose it. Because everybody that I've been talking to, the newer trucks and the newer everything, it's just, you got to have the equipment to diagnose. It's just like a car. The old days, adjusting the points ain't there no more. So, I'd like to have a motion to, there's one thing I would like to, on the loader, I would like to recommend one thing. I'd like to keep it to brand names.
That was my intention.
Okay.
I've reviewed several RFPs from different communities, and because that was one of our goals was to, I mean, the Kawasaki is what it is. It was low bid. We bought it back then. Things expensive to maintain. The dealer support is far away. I mean, Skowhegan, but still not close. And it's not John Deere Cat Case, so on and so forth. And that's what majority of the ones that I've seen are limiting to John Deere, Case, Caterpillar, Komatsu, and Volvo. Five.
What, Alan, I talked to you about this. You had your.
He's got the same information we discussed in that regard. What I provided Ryan after, when this was prepared for tonight's meeting, is the last three RFPs that Lewiston did for comparison. I think one of them clearly was not relevant for what you were looking for, but they all include the Case, the John Deere's, and that's what they're looking for in that regard. What I would ask in that, Ryan, is based on what you've seen, do you have an idea for high-end ballpark?
As a matter of fact, I do.
I figured you would, sir.
Last year, Topsom went out to bid for a loader, basically the same size that we're looking to purchase. They received 5 bids. Imagine that, all the same ones that we're talking about. Beauregard was $123,900. Chadwick, or Ross, which was the Volvo, it's $126,600. The John Deere from Nortrax was $117,000, and the Cat was $119,000. They did receive one bid for $88,500, but it didn't meet the spec, and I don't even know what that was for a model. I've also got some bids that some other folks shared with us that were from 2010, 2012, and they're all in that roughly 120,000 range. And then generally they were budgeting, at least one was in the $30,000 estimate for the wing, gear, and all that stuff.
Winter setup.
Right, that goes with that. So that's where, I mean, we're in the 150 ballpark, which is what we've been talking about all along.
That's
So Diane,
That's my working experience from Lewiston, too.
These are all local, easier to support for us.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
Nortrack is in Westbrook, Milton Cat, I believe, is right there in Westbrook, South Pole, whatever it is, all right down.
Responsive dealers that would be willing to work with us. What kind of warranties do these things have? I mean, I'm talking life cycle. So if we buy a new one, just for the viewing public at home, what do we hope to get out of it conservatively?
Well, assuming that the Case that we had was bought new in '99, I think that's our.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the transmission, according to the records, was replaced in 2011. That was the big ticket item then. And I don't know if it was rebuilt, remanufactured, or what the story was when that work was done. But you're looking at, what's that, 20-year lifespan for one? Especially if we do it the way we've been doing it. Where it's
Practicality from Lewiston's superintendent of the garage, 12 to 14, anything after that is borrowed time.
Okay.
You're ahead of the game because you start hitting that line where 46,000 on maintenance costs as the vehicle starts to get older. The break-even point is clearly a couple years in the rear view.
so would this be coming out of the undesignated fund to pay for this?
I would think you would want to finance it.
Okay.
So you're 150,000 is about what you'd like to have.
That's the ballpark. I mean, that's what we've been talking about all along, and I don't think that that's
I need
unreasonable.
a motion.
I think if, can I just say, if you want us to move forward,
Yeah,
there's some other
go
things
move
that we need to consider too, is, my recommendation would be to authorize the town manager to go out to bid for a bucket loader, front-end loader, and depending on what you want to do, because we're up against it for time by
Time,
going through
that's
this
right.
whole process and bringing it back to council, I'd offer an option to allow once the bids come in, for us to go ahead and award it based on the criteria,
that's what
not
I
to
was gonna
exceed
say.
150,000, and then authorize the finance director or town manager in conjunction with the chair of the council, because that's in the charter for any type of bonds, to negotiate the terms and the interest rate of the lease purchase, but not to exceed what we had in the referendum, not to exceed the 7 years and not to exceed I can't remember the percentage rate. And then to authorize the finance director to execute the lease purchase agreement, but the town manager and the chair of the council will also have to sign.
For my listening public out there, she used the key word bond. It's in the loosest of terms. That is a financial arrangement or lease purchase over time. It is not going out to bond in the truest sense. To speak to anybody that's talked to me in the last month, I know I fielded a ton of feedback on this. The short version of everything I heard is the voting public is not opposed to this purchase. It's actually paying for it over the extended period of time that actually drives the financing cost up. I believe I would voice that we're looking at a 3-year window. If
Yeah,
we
we
could
could-
actually
we
do a
could do
lease
that.
purchase over 3 years in the neighborhood of the $50,000 to $60,000 range, to spread it out, to shorten it, to actually eliminate
Lydia
the
has
bond
a
council.
projection for you.
Perfect.
The other thing, she'll come up in a second. The other thing I wanted to mention, that anything over 100,000 that we borrow, we have to get bond counsel, and I did get a quote from that, and that'd be $750 to get a bond counsel opinion.
And I
But if we
Right.
finance less than 100,000, we don't need to get that opinion.
save $700 right off the top associated with the
So,
financing.
There's some ways to, once we figure out what the
Get a bid, then start to kind of maybe,
and work backwards, because we just received yesterday our workers' comp dividend check, and that's $14,900 right there. So, I mean, there's ways that we could rededicate some funds to try to get it under 100,000, but we aren't going to know if we can do that until we at least do the bid process. But
I have a question for you. So the one loader that is in the public works yard is dead in the water. It's not going anywhere. It's not operational. We have one. So if we weren't to pass this and to purchase another one, what would be the next option if the other loader just does the same thing?
We could rent one, and I checked prices because I was actually considering renting one right away, but then said I'd wait and see what happens with everything, but it's right around $4,000 a month. And I don't know, and quite honestly, if you, I mean, I've never had to rent a loader, but I know from what I've heard that they're dedicated throughout the winter for folks they're going to sit in someone's parking lot or.
They're already rented.
Exactly. Which I haven't gone down that route with any rental companies yet. That was off our price list from the local vendors that we deal with. It was right around $4,000 a month.
this is probably obvious, but that one that's sitting dead right now, would we sell it outright, parts kind of thing? Because I don't think we're going to get much on a trade for it.
I don't know. I'd honestly think I'd rather just see what the deal would give.
No, I like that idea. I'm there with you.
I don't want to have to come
Right.
back.
Goes down the road.
Right.
Put it out to the side of the road.
that
and-
could go towards the purchase price.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm
That
saying.
will
Kind
help.
of put it out there to say, rather than do a private sale, not that we're going to get much more, if the dealer decides to want to go ahead and show us some mercy and give us a little love on that, it'll be okay.
We're going to put, I mean, we've got a bunch of things that we're planning to do when that goes down the road. We'll send it with as much junk on it that we don't need.
He's got a good level of scrap weight. I
Well,
like that.
We've got old tires that we saved. They're going to
No,
go.
this-
They'll go on that, so we save the newer ones. You know, some of that kind of efforts are the ones that we're talking about.
The same thing we said to the chief when he was looking for a piece of fire apparatus. This goes in that trade. It's not going to sit roadside just to think we can get a better deal and
Right.
then it sits for 2 years. It goes.
Right.
100% support of that.
And the way that I look at this is the magic number is about 60, and we'll listen to Lydia with the financing, which she's got for there. We need to approve the purchase and give them the green light so we can get the RFP out there. And what I envisioned this year, I talked to Diane on this as well, is I don't care if it's deferment from PW, anything that we can do that potentially avoids the fund balance, that would be the last resort, because we've got it in a position where it's actually moving in the right direction. We've got seed money in a capital improvement plan that we found last year. I don't want to lose the wind in our sails to actually say we're moving forward. So whatever we need to do.
And just not to muddy the waters anymore, I have that email from MDOT that I got during the budget process to get an estimate on how much we're going to have to pay for our share of the right-of-way and engineering on those 4 projects. And that's where the $217,000 comes in the budget, in the Public Works budget. We haven't received the third-party agreements yet. We're still waiting for them. So Ryan reached out this week to them, and we got an email today that said he hoped to get them out this week. And then we followed up with another question: are we still going to have to pay our share of the right-of-way? Because the first payment supposedly was going to be due in December, and the second one in the spring. Now they're telling us it's not going to be due. We're not going to get invoiced until 2018. So we've got that money raised in the budget that we're not going to spend.
Yeah. Again, set aside for this purpose.
Right.
We have to pay for it now, we pay for it later, but it's better than tapping fund balance for sure.
Yeah, depending on how we go at it. If we want to
Yeah.
do the whole amount financed or a portion of it financed, whatever we choose, but it's nice to have options.
Well, Ryan's standing up there waiting. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Go.
Now we need to hear from Lydia. We already voted on
Oh,
this.
that's right. Lydia's just going to.
We just
Yeah, go ahead.
Want to hear from you.
we skipped a whole go Lydia.
Lydia, good job.
Good go Lydia, as Chris would say. Yes.
Card before the horse. Oops.
It happens. So I ran 2 different sets of numbers, one at 99,000, one at 150,000, one at 3 years, and one at 5. So at 150, because that's looking like that's where it's going to be for the 3 years, we're looking at total interest costs at approximately $6,000. I used the interest rates that we got on the most recent lease purchase that we did, so it's not set in stone, it's just an estimate. And for the 5 years, we're looking at interest costs of close to $11,000. So just that 2-year difference, you can see it doubles your interest costs. So
Right.
definitely a financial benefit of going with 3 years.
What's the annual payment?
Annual payments for the 3 years is $52,000, and for the 5 years is $32,000. Do you want the $99,000 or just
No. I don't think it's relevant.
unless we can find money otherwise to not
No.
finance it? But, yeah.
I just prefer not to end up paying for
That's
additional
worst case
maintenance
scenario.
costs on a substandard product.
Yeah. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia.
Next item, Jody.
2016-254 Lisbon Development Committee established.
I need to make a motion. Then we can-
Absolutely.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? I think it's been discussed quite a bit. All in favor?
Well,
I-
I think it's a roll call, isn't
I
it?
think it's a roll call
Roll call vote? Well, thank you, Chris.
because it's in order.
Stickler for the rules over there.
You are on the ball.
He's usually go, go, go. I like that.
Education is different today.
Okay.
Councillor Albert,
Yes.
Councillor Bickford,
Yes.
Councillor Crafts,
Yes.
Councillor Ward,
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's one.
Councillor Mativier,
Yes.
Councillor Brunel,
Yes.
Councillor Colby.
Yes.
Order passes 7-0.
Now, next item, Jody.
Town managers report.
I just have a couple of things. I got an email from Dorothy Goslin, who's going to be doing a good luck page for the football team this weekend, and we will be planning to put an ad. It's $65. Tracy's working on it. I just wanted to let you know. You'll see that in the paper. And the other thing is we had a request from somebody to put on our electronic sign out front a Christmas craft fair announcement or advertisement, and this isn't something we normally do. That sign is typically and has been only for our business reasons, or I should say local government, anything that we do locally here for a government. And we have not opened it up to the outside. I happened to be talking to Dan Stockford on a couple of other things, and I got his opinion on that, and he strongly recommends that we don't open it up to the public forum, because then it would be very hard to say no. And it'd be hard for us to manage it and us to pick and choose it would be really hard for us to say no to anybody. Plus, it's really a governmental board for our government committees, our meetings, and I think it would really get lost if we had all kinds of different advertisements. So that's the way we approached it, and then this person wanted me to bring it to the council.
Do you need a vote on that, or just?
I think I would get a vote, just so that we have it on record. And if you want, I can even take it one step further and come back with a policy, an electronic sign policy at some point, that we have a policy in writing.
Was this related to nonprofit? Give me some more of the specifics.
It's the Holy Trinity Church, their Christmas craft fair.
Okay. And then the list just goes on and on from there. I know that the Lisbon Boosters just had one, and I don't know. My gut says it's good for the feel good, but I don't know if we have the same latitude that the schools might be able to do for that kind of media on that location.
Might be best to have the policy written up, though.
Larry, do you want to say something about this? Yes, you can. I will let you. Yeah.
You can't have it both ways, sir. Please state your name for the record, too, because we get flack from the media.
Nobody knows me in the town.
Yeah, okay.
Larry Shulman from Lisbon. This is a government sign out there. It's for our use here. However, these many community activities that come up that are legitimate, that the town council feels is legitimate, you can pass them off to social media. I have no problems publishing or getting it published for the Lisbon Reporter, and I can't speak 100%, but I'm pretty sure that the editor of the LisbonRemain.net, as long as it's community related and we have your agreement, as far as saying, okay, here you go. I take things from Diane and I post them all the time. We don't want to break the law. It's a good system you got going now, but let's take advantage of social media. Okay? And start. You have to approve them because we don't want garbage on there. But if you guys give us the okay, we'll be more than happy to work with you and strengthen the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, I need a motion.
Can I offer a little input just about?
Please.
I administered the sign since the town purchased it, and it isn't as limited as just our boards and committees. Anything that has happened on town-owned property, I have advertised on the sign. So if a PCL does an event in our park, it has gone on the sign. If LJAL is having something on the fields at the school, we've put it on the sign. The school, if they've had a wellness fair, they email me, I've put it on the sign. So it hasn't just been government business, but it's all
Town.
Yes, it's been
So
town.
it's one basket of goods.
Right. Yeah. So anything the schools ask me for, we
But that's
advertise.
town property. It's different than private, so.
Have we ever done it for
But the
anything
craft
other?
fair, if they would have asked me, I would have put it on.
But, but another, that's like,
But it's a
it's
town,
one
it's
basket
a
of
school,
goods.
Right. But
Jody,
it's
to your
a
recollect-
governmental function
Right.
because the school is a part of the government.
Right.
To your recollection, the best since you've been the one that's administering, have we ever done anything non-town related with that sign, advertising or other? Okay,
I'd say keep it that way.
I think it
I
falls.
basically, the town eons ago, when there was a select board, they had much older technology. It's a bulletin board.
Yep.
Right.
And the rule, the governance on it is that it has to be a nonprofit. We haven't been that widespread with the sign because one message only is up there for 10 seconds, and you literally have to stand in front of the sign for a minute and a half to see everything that's on it. So we've fine-tuned it a little bit, but I've never put any.
So you can put nonprofit on there,
I have not put any.
but you're saying
nonprofit
you
on
could though.
on the bulletin board here.
Oh, on the bulletin
Yeah.
board, not on the sign.
I think if we open it up for one, then it's gonna
And you
spiral.
you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You have enough things to do other than worry about vetting announcements that come through a door for the sign. I know your time is precious as it is. So
And I'm happy, I get all kinds of these paper ones that come in, and I do post them on we have 2 bulletin boards, and I do post them there.
And if there's nothing that's actually in writing on either the use of our public board or the bulletin boards, I would recommend that we actually just go down that route to at least vet the process so everybody's aware.
Now, could we make a motion not to do anything right now, and then you can come back with a,
Yeah, absolutely.
an ordinance.
Until she.
I'm not an
Well, I
ordinance,
would make
but
a motion that you're not
Yeah.
policy.
put
You know what I
this
meant?
up.
right,
No.
Waiting for an answer.
right.
Right.
We'll
And
ma-
then instruct me to come back with a policy.
That, if I'm understanding you correctly, that can go on the bulletin board, but
This
not.
can go on the bulletin.
Okay.
We're just not putting it on the electronic
I would
sign.
go that route and give you the latitude to be able to do so.
Maybe we get a
And
digital
we'll see in
copy
the
together
hand,
too
too.
and help
Don?
out if Larry's willing to help too.
PDF?
There's
Just kind of thought, all the sign ordinances out there. It has private signs and where you can put them and where you can't put them and everything else. It might be worth thinking about at least to include that type of sign in that ordinance so that it's addressed fully.
you get something you
I don't
guys
even
are already
know exactly
undertaking.
how, but
That,
yeah.
that's something you're taking up right now? Yeah, I mean,
Not
you're
this
gonna
minute, no.
Working on it already.
You're working on it already, though, huh?
Let's go that route because I think I remembered
Hey.
he said something in
Wanna
passing.
make a motion?
Yes, please. I would defer that to the planning board to bring us something back.
Thank you, Dawn.
I'll second.
That was quite an impressive impersonation. Nice pun.
Okay, we need a motion to do this so we can.
I did. I
He did it. He did it.
The
He
motion
gave
is
the
to
You- I need a
defer to the
second.
planning
I'll
board.
second it.
All in favor?
Thank you for navigating.
And that
us
goes
there.
on the
Yeah,
bulletin board.
that's-
Because I don't want anybody coming out of this that we're not pro anybody associated with that. There's only so much time, and there's tons of needs that we can address them the way that
Is
we've
that all
always
you
been
had,
doing.
Diane? Okay, next item.
Can't drop
Jody.
all the strings, Mrs. Ward says so.
Department head written reports, which are all in your packet. I
Yep.
don't believe you do anything
Yep.
with that. Department head oral reports. Chief Gallipo.
Oh, yeah. I'm a sucker for kids.
For kids.
Anything. It costs me money.
What kids do have that running around
Good evening. Peace, John Gallipo, Fire Chief, Lisbon, Maine. So everybody knows that. Before I start, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Bickford and Mr. Mativia for taking time out of your busy schedules for the last, how many years you've been doing this? And,
6.
6 years that you've been
3.
doing this. And stepping up and helping out the town and supporting us in any way that you have, or even having very constructive discussions if we happen to need them. So thank you for that. So October for us, we had 28 total calls for service, bringing the total calls for this year to 291, but that's 39 calls behind last year. So a little bit slower over the last year, which isn't too bad, but we did get hit in October. So on October 15th, we responded to a reported structure fire on Summer Street. Lieutenant Tom Roble was the first on scene, seeing that he lives right across the street, so he ran across the street and reported smoke from the eaves of the house with an ambulance needed for the occupant of the house. The occupant was his daughter, if you haven't heard that yet. She sustained 40%. She sustained 40 burns to 40% of her body, and is still currently in the burn unit at Maine Med. She was in chemically induced coma for 2 weeks and has had skin grafts to replace burned areas. She has a long road ahead of her, and it is nice to see how the community has come together to support the Roble family. One thing I want to note on that is that a few years back we had 3 fatalities in this municipality within 10 months of each other due to no smoke detectors. This was another possible one due to no smoke detectors. So if you've seen the fire department Facebook page, there's been an active smoke detector campaign, or at least some postings going on there. Old Town just had a fire, 2 fatalities, no smoke detectors. So we can't get it out there enough that people need to change the batteries in their smoke detectors or make sure they have smoke detectors in operation. Even having one that's been smoke tested that's off the ceiling now because it was going off and put on the countertop is better than having nothing or having the battery out of it. So we just want to get that out there. The update on her, she's out of a coma now. She's had another skin graft. She's uncomfortable. But she's at a point where she can be uncomfortable. So in our aspect, that's good. She's with us. So again, she has a GoFundMe page, everything there. The community has done exceptional. So she'll overcome that. She did lose a copious amount of animals that she did have in there, and that's going to be a rough road for her because she is an animal lover, as we know, as are most people. So keep the prayers for the Roble family and thoughts and prayers. As always, October is a busy month for the fire department. We had members of the Lisbon Community School for Fire Prevention, in which they promoted fire safety to the 700-plus students there in a week-long program. We did that on Fire Prevention Week. We usually do it the week after. We did it Fire Prevention Week this year, but Monday was Columbus Day. So we did 700 kids in 4 days instead of doing it in the 5 days. So asking the guys again, do you want to do it like that again next year? They were kind of, they'll let me know next year when it comes up. There's a good chance we'll probably go back to the 5-day week when we do that. We also had a Swiftwater rescue course going on the weekend of the 15th, in which we had that fire. And that was a 2-day learning opportunity for members to rig safety lines and traverse swift water. The backing of that is we had 2 individuals last year that actually got caught up under the dam with some swift water, so we had to wait. Last year, we worked with the dam people to extricate those people off the rocks, but this time now we actually have the tools in the toolbox to be able to not have to wait for the Warden Service or for Brunswick Fire, their high angle, or Auburn's high angle rescue, to be able to actually traverse some water and be able to get some people in a shorter time. So that's good. The members that were in that class are excited to have that knowledge and enjoy the class. We had members take a ladder operations class offered by the Tri-County Training Association. That weekend it rained all weekend, but they stuck to it, learned how to throw ladders to a building for rescue and vent work. Hard work again, but all the members were motivated. Anybody who's friends of the Facebook site saw those pictures. With all the mention above, the department logged many hours in support protecting the people of Lisbon. My hat's off to them for all their dedication, of course. We received our Safety Works report back. This is helping in keeping the department in compliance with the state mandates. We're working on completing the compliance directives on that report. Training Officer Beal, our newly appointed Training Officer Beals, is feeling the pressure on the state mandated requirements for training and balancing out family time and work time with the fire department, and it seems every year they add more and more requirements to us. So before we were able to kind of do everything in a 2-hour a month required training, but now we're almost at a point where it's almost a 2.5 to 3 hour training we're going to need in order to get just the basic compliances done, or reschedule something so that we can actually make sure that we're there. So, as I did state about a month ago, the truck committee met, and we're working on a plan that will be presenting to you in the near future on the capitals as far as the truck replacement refurbishment program. As you know, with the next piece of apparatus that is due for replacement is Engine 7. That's due in 2017. We are looking at the best possible way to benefit the town and our operation with the smallest monetary impact. I've drawn up a plan, and I'm looking forward to presenting that at or around the yearly capital plan meeting, as I stated, and I'll be presenting that first, of course, to the town manager, and then we'll be fine-tuning it any way we need to as we go. So I met with them last night. We went over the PowerPoint, all the points and everything, so that's coming along nicely. So we're already working on budget. We typically, October is about the fire department's really leeway time to say, okay, let's get all the fire prevention stuff done and everything else. And I have the officers actually bringing me their wish lists in the November meeting. So I've already started our budget, and we're working towards that.
Can I delve into that?
Excuse me?
Can I delve into that? I very much appreciate that. I would like to see what you guys actually have going in the fire department actually be modeled for what I'd like to accomplish in the CIP in general. I like the investment over time, so we actually don't have as many hiccups when we are trying to do this, so we're not having to deal with the long-term financing arrangements. I know we talked last. Can you just update me? Is it the tank?
Tank 9.
Tank 9. What's the fate of that? And is it winterized or anything like that?
Tank 9 is still sitting in the station, so it's warm.
Okay.
It's out of service, and that's actually in that presentation that I want to give you guys.
Okay.
It's out of service, and I know you've had a few discussions out in taxpayer land with that.
Yes.
Tank 9 it's 44 years old. It's finally gotten to the point where it was at the point, it was the cabin chassis. We had replaced the body on that a few years back, so the body on it's still good, but the cabin chassis is 44 years old, and I have the paperwork to kind of back that. We also have two vehicles that are doing the same task there. Tank 9 and Engine 2 both do tanker or tender calls. A tanker's called a tender. So no hiccup in our operation.
Right.
Engine 2 is taking care of all those calls. The Tank 9 had gone, in 5 years, that truck had gone out 40 times in the town of Lisbon. Right around there. I have the exact numbers, but it's about that. So the call volume, the amount of maintenance costs and everything else, we felt with our operational change, with Engine 1 and Truck 6 with the compressed air foam, is an operational change for us. We don't need as much water on the road as we've needed in past. So we felt comfortable with being able to at least take that out of service. And its fate is going to be up to you guys as far as what we want to do with it.
Right. No, it's good. Where I was going with it mostly is the fact is one of the things you're going to be hearing from me in the next year is help me understand what you need operationally, so it's on my radar screen, so we know what's out there.
Our refurbishment, and I'm going to stress refurbishment / replacement program, because it has been underfunded, is that key discussion. And this year was a major one because we have some vehicles, some changes that are coming down the pipe. You know, Engine 2's coming right up.
Right.
Engine 7's ready. So we have a couple options. We have a few options that we want to have discussions with you. Hopefully it'll be a workshop, so it'll be just us. We'll be able to actually, kick those around and be able to do that. That program in 2004 the plan was all the towns or all the higher end purchases, as far, Public Works, myself, even the PD cars were thought to be in there. We're all going to fall into that capital plan.
Right.
It was never held, responsibly to the other departments in order to make that happen.
Oh, it's great because, back to the original discussion associated with the loader tonight, the fact is everything that I've been able to piece together in the last couple of months is people would love to get to the better place where we're paying as we go instead of having to finance it over time. The fact is, if it was just that simple, we'd already be doing it.
We have a lot of history. We bought two trucks. 30 years apart, we bought two fire trucks at a time, and we always said, no, we don't want to ever do that again.
Right.
I'm going to kick myself for our proposal that's going to come up, but it's
No, you're not.
It's
No, you're
merely an option.
No, you're not in that regard. So.
But just the idea of that was, originally when we bought two trucks, it was a 20-year bond.
Right.
We still paid, or when we bought the ladder truck, excuse me, we had 3 years of payments left on the old ladder truck when we bought the two new trucks. We still paid on a truck that was, the Pierces now are paid off. They've been paid off for the last 6 years, or 3 years. We bought them in 2003. So that was a 10-year bond. But that was a $1.3 million bond. So that, that was and we were in drastic time right there when we needed a ladder truck and an engine. So we've worked with that plan to actually stagger those out. So we're not, when we buy a ladder truck, or when whoever's council buys a ladder truck, you know,
There's a plan.
10 years from now, it's going to be close to $1 million just itself. So we need to think about that. And that's what that plan originally was established, and if we would have stayed, and not only you as council, but the selectmen before you and everybody else, would have stuck with the funding mechanism that was actually there, the plan would, it would just be coming up here to get approval to purchase it out of that plan, and we'd be good to go. Unfortunately, we're going to have some discussions, because it's been, and that's only the economic climate. We understand that. You know, the climate wasn't, you know, we were in 2004 to 2008, everybody was fat, dumb, and happy, and we had enough money for everything, and the economy was great. That's since changed.
Right. No, I thank you and Ryan for at least tolerating the discussion associated with that and giving me the opportunity to keep moving it forward.
Discussion is
By-
good.
by all means.
That's what it's all about. We need
It's
to
a-
have those discussions. So.
It's one small piece of your entire report, but thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah. Thank you.
Evening, Mark Hagan, Chief of Police, and I'll just give you a quick update on what we had going on in October. First of all, calls for service from October 1st to November 1st. Lisbon Police Department received or responded to 900 calls for service, and we summoned or arrested 30 persons, investigated 12 motor vehicle crashes, and conducted 224 motor vehicle stops. Also investigated 23 animal control-related calls for service. In an effort to keep the public more aware of what's going on with the Lisbon Police Department, if you're not a Facebook person, if you haven't checked it out, we're being more active again with Facebook, and weekly we're going on there and just advising people of the calls for service, much like I just told you about, just giving everybody the basics of what's going on and what we're doing. So if you're not on Facebook, get on there and like us and check it out, and you can have a better idea about what's going on. Today, we posted something about crashes, and if you weren't aware, there were 6 motor vehicle fatalities this weekend in the state of Maine. In 5 of those fatalities, the people were not buckled up. And it's a little amazing at this point with all the information out there that people still aren't buckling up. And I know there's very few medical reasons and some people don't like it, but the simple fact is the single most important thing that people can do to safeguard their own life is to buckle up, and it only takes a second. So we've put that out on the Facebook today. A lot of people don't pay attention to simple things like that, so we just want to remind everybody about it. For those that aren't aware, on Saturday, October 22nd, we took part in the National Drug Take-Back Program. And basically, this program is designed to encourage safe and proper disposal of outdated medications or medications that people don't need anymore. Most young people that get hooked on medication later when they conduct interviews and so forth admit that they got it out of their home, usually parents' unused medication. It's the single most popular way that people get their hands first on medication. So it's important to try to get that turned in. We have the green box, if anybody's not aware, in the lobby. We're open obviously 24/7. People can bring that back anytime. It doesn't just need to be when we're doing these drug take-backs. With that being said, we received 245 pounds of medication. And statewide, there was over 24,000 pounds of medication turned in statewide that was incinerated on that day. So it's pretty impressive to get that much back. It's unfortunate that there's that much out there, to be honest with you, especially because before this occurred, before we started doing these drug take-backs, what nursing homes and most people were doing was pouring the medication down the toilet and flushing it into our water system. And if anybody's ever talked to somebody from the water department, they don't have filters to take care of this medication. It does not get filtered out of the system. So it goes right back into our water supply. So it's a little scary when people hear that because a lot of people don't realize that. Police Department, for Halloween, we partnered with Lisbon Rec and Positive Change Lisbon at the MTM Center for the 2nd annual Halloween night event. Hot dogs, hot chocolate, kettle corn. There was glow sticks that were given out by the PD. It was a nice, safe event for everybody, and it all seems well attended. We got a lot of positive feedback from that. And if you're not aware, Officer Renee Bernard received the 2016 Healthy Androscoggin. It's called the Will Bartlett Award. And this award's given to the member of the community who has demonstrated selfless dedication, leadership, and compassion in promoting the ideals of Healthy Androscoggin and improving the lives of children in our community. So Officer Bernard was nominated for this by the people at Healthy, actually it was by Detective Sergeant Tapley, through her work with Healthy Androscoggin, and she was nominated for this due to her considerable work with the youth in the Lisbon school system. And if you're not aware, she's always out there working with the kids, and it's great. So we had a little thing at the end of the month on October 28th with presidential candidate Trump came and visited us with 2 days' notice. It was a little hectic, but it all worked out. You know, we basically had two missions that day, and one was to provide a safe and orderly access for the general public to the events, and the second was to provide security for presidential nominee Trump. To be honest with you, if it wasn't for the assistance of Lisbon Public Works, I wish Ryan was still here, but we have mentioned it on our Facebook, the fire department, Lisbon Emergency, and much needed assistance from the Androscoggin sheriffs, we never would have been able to meet our mission. So it was a big group effort, and we were very appreciative. We were also appreciative for everybody when it came time to leave. It's never easy to get that many people out of one event, and our officers, especially those that have been stuck outside all day in the freezing rain, did a great job getting everybody out of there. So that's pretty much the month of October for the police department. Questions? All good. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Chief.
Next item, Jody.
Audience participation and response to new items.
Ready?
Fern LaRochelle, Lisbon Falls, and speaking for myself, I've already thanked Roger and Eric. There's one good thing about this council in Lisbon Falls is we don't always agree, but we always agree to talk and work things out, which I think is really important for this council and council moving forward. It is nice to think that we have a council that actually has different views and different opinions, and at the end of the day, everybody comes together for the best interest of the town, and thank you. I know it always has been, even though we don't always agree, I know the best interest of the town is always ahead. Right. And congratulations, Chris.
Thank you, Brian.
Another tenure, you get to be abused for another 3 years. Yeah. Again, enough said, but thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure the council will move forward, and it's going to be, as always, it will always be a pleasure to work with him. For positive change, there's a couple things I'd like to kind of go forward with. We had a meeting last night. We're getting ready for our Merry Main Street, which is hard to believe because Thanksgiving is next week. The week after that is our event in December. I mean, it just doesn't seem possible. There's a lot of things going on this year, so the public probably, if you won't have another council meeting, that will be happening. Eric attended our meeting last night, and it's, again, small downtown thing that we do down on Main Street. It's on December 3rd. Starts at 5 o'clock at the MTM. We'll have a tree lighting session with the police department down, and about somewhere between 15 and 20 local businesses right now come forward to actually help promote and get it all happening. And it's a small event, but yet it's kind of a small town thing. We'll have a horse and carriage riding around town, and hopefully some carolers, and try to get some business fronts dressed up like Christmas this year, so we make it look. All we're asking for is good weather, 32 degrees, light snow, kind of festive, that type of thing. That'd be awesome, but we don't know if we'll get that or not, but we'll work on it. We've had a little bit of everything, believe it, but it's always good. One of the things we were kind of looking for this year is possibly maybe a partial blockage of the road, but we're not sure if that's going to happen, only because it's time frame, and I know the council needs it to actually be apprised of that, so it's hard to believe that December is already a couple weeks away. It's you got to be on top of it. Well, we'll talk with Chief and see if we can actually arrange for something. In years past, it does get a little crowded with the horse and buggy coming up Main Street, but I'm sure we could kind of work. We've done it in the past, so I'm sure as long as we keep everybody safe. The other thing from Positive Change I want to promote is there is a group in town that has been working with Mark through the rec department to look to upgrade the playground equipment at the MTM. Ross Cunningham is representing Positive Change on that group, and just planting the seed that this is something that will be talked about as time goes forward. It's a fairly strong community group that's been meeting to actually try to move this forward. It's been talked about in years past, but it's really never got the traction. And I think Ross is going to do a good job to help promote it from the town side as far as positive change. And, you know, with any project comes funding. And I think they're going to try to reach out and do a lot of the funding themselves, but I think there'll be some discussion with town to see where they can somehow do a match or use some resources to try to move that forward. But again, tonight, just trying to plant a seed that is actually there's some active group of people. And one thing we do not try to discourage is this town. If we have a group of people trying to do something good, we want to make sure they at least get the benefit to try to move that forward. So, again, thank you very much, and another exciting council moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Next item, Jody.
Council Communications.
I got a couple, but you guys knew that. County budget, that should be with the commissioners. I believe it's on tomorrow night's meeting for them. They'll be approving the final version of what's worked its way through the budget committee. If memory serves me correctly, we ended up at it was 7.1 before. We dropped it to like 4.6 or something like that. I don't remember. There was something at the last, but I'd have to get the specifics, and I'd be glad to share it with the council. It's the one piece of information that I forgot tonight. I just wanted to make it on everybody's radar that the commissioners should be ratifying that tomorrow night at their meeting. They'll be also dealing with, if anybody was paying attention, the day after the election, their chair stepped down because he's moving out of the district as well too. But short version associated with that is all new commissioners, and should be a change moving that forward so there's less friction between county and municipal, so we can get back to business all the way around. On that topic is there's a meeting with legal counsel that either Cassie or Norm will be attending. I reached out to Cassie, knowing she has the experience in that. I can't be there. I know Diane is off next week. That I'm sorry, the 30th is that meeting. We'll have somebody from Lisbon represented because it's still a very active suit, and there should be something coming from legal on that. That's it for me.
Anybody else? Oh, goody, I get to go again. I want to mention that and say congratulations to Gina and Garrett Mason. We have retained our good 1-2 punch in the legislature. And that's very good. I mean, a lot of people out there do not know, well, Gina's new, but what Dale and Garrett have done for us in the last 6 years. We needed money for the bus service, the shuttle bus to Lewiston. We couldn't find it, didn't have it, and they found the money. They're the ones, along with the governor, that actually got the sidewalk on the bridge. I was there when that happened. Garrett and Dale were instrumental in getting the rails to trails moving, and they were also instrumental in the Walter Parker thing on the bridge. So it seems like every time somebody asked them to do something, it was there. And I think Gina will keep the same thing. And it's going to be a real good 1-2 punch. When the town needs them, they'll be there. I want to really thank them and congratulate them. And now I'm going to step out of the, well, I can't say, I don't know how to put this, but I don't think any other chair has done this, but I'm going to. My own personal opinion. I think the council, next time, the new council coming in, ought to seriously think about putting Alan Ward as chair. There's nobody that knows town budgets, and he's real good at the school budget. So I really think he'd tie everything together. And I'm going to say one more thing. Not about you, Alan.
Good.
I think the council ought to think real good with his okay that Chris Bonnell ought to be co-chair.
Whoa.
There is, and it's been shown, he knows a lot of people in this town, and they all know that they can contact him, and he's out there all the time, and he's a people person. And, you know, it's a lot easier to get a hold of Chris than it is probably anybody else on the council. Because all you gotta do is ride around town and look for a water pipe joint. You got it. So, that, I know no chair's ever done this before, but I didn't get defeated. I quit. So,
That's a harsh word.
It is, ain't it?
So you know.
You retired.
Retired.
There you go.
Both
Sounds
ways.
better.
And I want to put my 2 cents in. I think Alan would be a real smooth transition. And I've worked with him a lot. And I just think he would be a real good chairperson. So I just want to put that in. And I think I said about all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you for putting Chris on notice. I don't know about that. What I would say with that, my takeaway is the fact is I looked back this past week and I can't believe it's been a year. I think my sarcastic post on social media land was, it feels like 2, because it happened so quickly, but I believe that there is a direction where we are moving forward.
Yep.
And the fact is needing to continue it. It's no one person, but the collective actually needs to happen, because you can come in with great ideas, and the fact is you can still be sitting there talking to yourself. I do it all the time, but as long as you don't answer the voices, it's all good, right, folks? Because I know there's at least one personality don't like you. And that's just the one in your head talking to you. Thank
I
you.
know this.
Thank you, sir.
This year, being chair, has been very stressful on me, because I'm probably one of the only chairs that had 2 school budgets to work out.
Yeah.
And, but I need a vacation. I've already started hanging them, so.
Good.
So, next item.
Can I just say something?
Yep.
Because I forgot to under my items. I just want to say congratulations, Chris.
Thank you.
Get to work with you another 3 years, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with both you and Eric. You know, I think we've done a lot in just the short period of time that I've been here. I can see a remarkable change in the community and some of the things that are going on, and I can see more things happening down the as we move forward. And I think, we're going to have another good council to work with. But I just wanted to say that it's been great working with you.
Been fun.
Yeah, like
And you're going to be missed.
Oh, we'll be around. I also want to
There's a lot of seats out there.
There is. I'll be here.
I appreciate that.
I'm very confident with the new council that's come in, and keep in mind Mark Luntz served on the council before for 6 years, so he's already got experience, and I'm sure Chris will pick it up also when he gets in. And the direction the council's going right now is going forward. The town's doing well, and I'm confident that it'll keep going that direction, and I'm encouraged with it. And there's a lot of work into doing what they do up here, and I'm not too overly sad that I'm going to be sitting back and not having to be at all the meetings and everything, but I'll be around for it, and I'm looking forward to see which way this town goes, and I'm sure it's going to keep going the right direction.
There's always another election, isn't there, Don?
Depends on which day you talk to him.
I just want to take a quick moment to I know we've already probably hit on it, but I just want to commend the staff. The election was so smooth, and it was so nice to hear people chime in and say how professional, courteous. I thought it was going to be a nightmare getting parking and everything, and people went in and out. My own experience, I went in there at 8 a.m. on election morning. Yes, it was busy, but I found a parking spot with relative ease. I walked in and out of there. 10 minutes and 5 minutes was me talking to the people on the way out the door. So I was able to get in and get out pretty quickly. And there was a ton of folks in there, and not one of them was upset or angry. Nice, smooth flow the whole way through. So you should be commended for all your hard work. I know, yeah, they didn't happen overnight. You guys put in a lot of effort planning, and it's appreciated. You did your community proud, so thank you.
I'd like to go with that too in that regard. I had a conversation with school committee chair. I was one of those people that showed up at the 7:10, and I was going to get run over in the high school, so I actually came back at lunchtime to vote. I specifically didn't do the early absentee to see what the average town person was going to experience, to know how it actually played itself out day of. And I know Twyla actually put it in her report. Anything that we can take away from this year to actually improve, I know she's going to be on it. And I was glad it was just me being the naysayer, because I was expecting that we as the council and school committee were going to get crucified if that actually backfired, and I was glad I didn't see that play itself out. You know, so, yeah, there's going to be lines, but we had something like an 80% voter turnout for a presidential election. That's huge. You know, the fact is, 4 years before that number comes back around, but it's a positive, because one of the things we've said for the last 3 or 4 months is there was a lot of moving parts to this election, and forget the presidential. The fact is, I didn't care. I was there at the polls at 8 o'clock. I wanted to know how the voters actually decided on our bonds and our charters. And Don can attest to it, and Mark and anybody that was standing there that night. I didn't care, because to me, it's a disconnect. The fact is, we need to work on that disconnect within the state and the higher level of government. But to me, it's what we do locally that matters most. And it was cool to see. There's still people out there that have not been to our gym. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. You know, so it's an asset that is benefiting our town, and it was a real test to see how a large class going through a graduation is going to play out. We can learn about these things for, you know, crowd control and parking and all the other logistics, because the benefits are going to be paying off. Enough said.
Well, no, I'm actually going to piggyback on, because don't we all love staying here longer? The gym, just to kind of piggyback on your idea, I had the good fortune to go to the craft fair this weekend, and I was there. My mom and my wife and my daughter had a table. But when I was there, just to kind of catch up with them, I was talking to Michelle Houston, and she said that in previous years it was 35 tables. This year it was 70 tables, and they'll probably double by next year. The amount of folks that were going through there from all over, not just in our little community, but from all over. This thing rivaled some of the bigger ones in Brunswick and such. So that's great, because they're all stopping at Dunkin' Donuts. They're all grabbing lunch here. That's bringing revenue into this town. It's one day in the month of November, but it's things like that. We string a few of those together every season. Helps our little community. So definitely a great thing to see.
Anybody else? Next item.
Order 2016-255 to go into executive session per 1 MRSA Section 405-6A, Personnel Matters.
Do the appointments first.
I need a motion.
Sure. Second.
All in favor?
I getting to abstain?
Yeah, you're gonna.
I'll abstain.
We're going to
Where
your
we
office, right?
In that room over there?
The conference room?
Where there'll probably be a vote. If you want to go home, you can go home. I'll let you. I'll wait. Okay.
Sugar? I'll pass it around when we get it. I brought an unopened bag. If there's any left, I'll pass it on when I get back. Hey, get out of the hall, huh?
you?
And then there was 6.
Yeah.
Now, he can come back. We're not in executive session, right?
Huh?
Yeah, he can say, just got to
This
abstain.
is still your chair for the rest of the night, sir.
Yeah, you're good.
He's abstaining from any vote. What do you? Don't give me the eyebrow.
What's,
Dan Lehman.
First of all, you have to
You
come
have to-
back in from executive
yeah.
session.
Oh, okay. I need a vote to come back in from executive
I'll
session.
make the motion.
I'll make a second.
All in favor? Need a vote to appoint Dan Lehman to the planning board.
I'm going to make that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Come on. Stick to the script.
I want to go home. I'm tired.
I want to go home.
I have to be in Augusta tomorrow.
Ooh, welcome, Dan. Welcome.
Next item.
I make the motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor? Adjourn. That's the last time.
I have to be in Augusta in the morning, so.
there you go.
Good job.
There were a few that were surprised. It was 32 votes.
Is that sign? Location, location, location.
Don't forget, tomorrow,